Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Dawn Jarvis Show. I'm Dawn Jarvis, the diverse nurse. In this podcast, I talk to and about busy leaders, professionals, and business owners about who they are, what they do, and why they do it, and how they prioritize their own health and well-being. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Charles Olunrunfemi, and we are going to be talking about how to use the internet to tackle health inequalities and promote quality of health. Charles has worked for many years as a health and social care tutor and assessor and quality assurer, supporting his students to acquire vocational qualifications and begin their careers as care practitioners. Teaching health and social care has ignited a passion in promoting equality, health, and tackling health inequalities. Charles is also a media enthusiast who's on a mission to use the power of media to tackle health inequalities and to promote quality health. Charles is also the founder and general manager of Global Villaje Radio. Hello, Charles. How are you doing?
I am very well, thank you. Thanks for having me here.
You're very, very welcome. I'm really excited to hear all about you and what are you up to. The first question is, so you're the founder of Global Villaje Radio, but you've also worked with health and social care professionals. You've got two jobs. How did you get to where you are today and founding Global Villaje Health?
Oh, good, thank you. Well, probably around about 20 years ago, I started working as a tutor, teaching health and social care. Funnily enough, at the time, it was something that I went into reluctantly. So I went into it reluctantly, and then over the years, I just noticed that I like teaching people. I like making this impact in people's life. And, you know, as a teacher, sometimes you get some specific feedback from your students, and that feedback ignites passions. Because you're getting feedback about how you're impacting people's lives, and that only motivates you to even do more. So yeah, that is where kind of the passion started from. Now, as part of doing that, I work alongside a lot of health and wellbeing practitioners and professionals over the years, and you can't but notice inequalities that arise in people's care and support and treatments. And so alongside that, and fast forward to the present day, the pandemic and everything, it's just so obvious. We've heard about how, for example, how people from the Black community are disproportionately affected by the pandemic. So that and other issues has just brought me this passion that I always had, and to start doing something about it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's where I am. Yeah. So that's what we do. Now, over the years, like I said, I'm a media enthusiast. So I've always wanted to do a media project. Didn't know what exactly I would do. I know that I wanted to make impact in people's lives. My first degree actually was in community media, but I did a first degree in community media, but all along I was still working in health and social care, you know. So, but yeah, I think the time just came. I just got sick and tired of myself, of giving excuses on why I am not doing what I love to do, what I want to do. And then, yeah, so that has brought us to the present day. And finally, I got to launch Global Villaje Radio.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So Charles and I met on a positive leadership course, which was full of community leaders doing fantastic projects. And that's how we met and sort of talked about, and we share a passion for the health of of communities from the African diaspora, you know, who may have been disproportionately affected by COVID-19 and other health-related issues. And you're absolutely right, Charles. It's really, you know, as a nurse, it's really obvious around where the inequalities are around health, around education, around social care and things like that. And it's a real opportunity. So the way I see it is that you're teaching, it's an opportunity for you to use your teaching background, but also your enthusiasm for media to sort of share information and to start the conversation as well, isn't it? Exactly. Around that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's not like, you know, like I said, I'm not a practitioner myself, but I've worked alongside practitioners. I've worked within the sector for many years, and these, it's like it's now or never really to be involved in this kind of dialogue. So yes, so Global Village Radio is a platform to support the dialogue, so to work with professionals, to work with practitioners, individuals, community groups, and everybody else involved in promoting quality health, to work together as a team and put content out there, create programs that will support people to make quality decisions about their health and well-being.
Fantastic. Now, you have said we talked about that sort of like health is like a fundamental right. It's a basic human right, and it's essential for a long and happy life. How do you utilize sort of Global Radio and the work you do to sort of like get that message across?
Yeah, because so think about health, wellness, and well-being. That's a massive umbrella. So there's so many various topics underneath that umbrella, relating to physical health, relating to mental health. So the plan is to just use the platform, create programs in a way that people can relate to. Because, for example, I remember speaking to a specialist once. So she called me, and she was using all these massive terms, and I was just lost. It was almost as if she was talking about somebody else, but no, she's talking about me. She's referring to me. And then she actually got upset because I had to interrupt her and ask her to speak to me in everyday terms, in everyday words, So yeah, so Global Village Radio is aware about all those medical jargons that sometimes come along with the territory, and just use everyday English to support people, provide information to people, not necessarily telling them what to do and what not to do, but providing information, as I said, so that people can make quality decisions about their health and well-being.
Yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, I think it's really important to talk in a language that people understand. I think, from my work in the health service, that's where sometimes we can go wrong, because we know what we mean when we use technical language. However, the average person in the street or in our community or any community has their own words and their own ways of talking about health, don't they? And so it's really good to sort of like have a platform where we can have the conversation using terms that are relevant, that people understand. And I also think there's many different ways of giving health information and health messages, isn't there? And I think that, the world has changed, hasn't it? So that people are on the internet, like my children, they're adults, but they hardly ever watch terrestrial television. They never buy a newspaper. They wouldn't access healthcare in any other way apart from maybe on Netflix or something like that. So, what sort of audience does Global Village Radio have?
Yeah, so our primary audience, members of the Black community, primarily, not just here in the UK, but also around the world. And we are aiming for age group of around 35 and upwards.
Okay.
So 35 and upwards. It's not necessarily, but because I did say primarily members of the Black community, but because we also mix it up with some music. Music on its own right is a universal language, and there's no color to music. So so with our music, if you love our music, please tune in.
Oh, fantastic. So you say that improving health, and you're not the only person who says this, is a shared responsibility. You work with practitioners, because you recognize you're not a practitioner, but you work with practitioners and professionals in promoting good health and tackling the conditions that lead to chronic disease. So what does that look like, in your work in Global Village Radio?
So what it looks like, for example, somebody who is a mental health advocate, for example, using their skill set, using their expertise to make programs that would impact the community. Okay, so a person with that kind of expertise will be at a very, is in a very good position to provide people with information on how they can enhance their mental health, and also what they can do to overcome any kinds of mental illness.
So you must have some quite difficult stories sometimes as well. Is that right?
Some very difficult stories, yes. Somebody I was talking to just before Christmas, and then I didn't see him until I think a week into the new year. And between that time, he had attempted suicide twice. You know, yeah, he had attempted suicide twice. So he suffers from chronic depression, and sometimes is suicidal. Yeah. So situations like that, you know, you're absolutely, sometimes you do come across some very sensitive stories.
I think it's also good that, you know, you'd be able to sort of like signpost where people can get help. So not only provide someone who's there, so somebody that is around, some, like, and it's because some people get quite lonely, don't they? But you can also post people to where they can get help. And I just want to say, if anybody listening, if anyone's feeling that way, there's help, you know, with the Samaritans, and there's places that you can call. So is it so when you must have, you know, going on with the theme of that sort of difficult conversations that you can have and share, you know, there's you know, what with the pandemic, there must have been quite a few difficult sort of things, difficult subjects that you need to tackle. So I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but I can think of things like, from my own family, there's a sort of like a reluctance to take tablets. You know, I've got some members of my family who are reluctant to take the vaccine, or not going to take the vaccine. And I just wondered if those issues have come up in Global Village Radio and how you would tackle them, because they are quite difficult.
The issue about the vaccine is that's a very special kind of situation at the moment. Yeah, because it's for people who advocate for the vaccine are very passionate about it. And the funniest thing is that the people who do not want the vaccine are also passionate equally. You know, they're equally as passionate about it. Yeah. So it's a strong conversation that again divides people. And you know, as much as possible, we tend to shy away, you know, from anything that kind of divides people. But the dialogue must be had, the conversation must be had. So, but within that regard, you know, again, we just try to refer people to experts. You know, we're a media company first and foremost, you know. So our job is to find people who have concrete information, concrete knowledge about the vaccine, the benefits of the vaccine, the importance of the vaccine, and you know how it promotes health on a long-term basis. Yeah. So it's all about trying to, like I said before, it's a shared responsibility. So it's all about supporting people with information by referring them to people who are the custodians of these information, the experts and the practitioners.
Love that. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So now you've never given up on your dreams and your passion, and you've got the you know, Global Village Radio is sort of a result of that. I know that's very that's a very important to you. What advice would you give people about making sure that they don't give up on their dreams and their passions?
Yeah, because I mean, everybody has something within their hearts. Everybody has something, that thing that possibly gives you sleepless nights. That thing that you know what, if you don't at least attempt to achieve this particular project, you know you're not going to be satisfied with yourself, you know. So likewise myself, I've always wanted to be engaged or to get involved in a media project, but again, it took me so many years. But yes, I mean, we should always, something that comes to mind is that we should always try as much as possible to focus on our focus until our focus becomes our focus, you know. So it's just about focusing on that thing that is extremely passionate to you. This book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. So he said one of the things that I kind of got out of that book is that he said that most people never see opportunities because we're always busy looking for money or looking for security. And that when we're looking for money and security, we walk into limitations, But when we begin to engage our brain in relation to our passion, the mind there begins to show us other ways of making that same money we're working for, So the basically it's all about go after your passion and not necessarily money. When you go after your passion, money will definitely, it will follow suit.
I agree. And we were talking earlier before we started recording about you have to be consistent as well, don't you? Keep going. You don't always see the rewards straight away, but it's really important if you're passionate about something to keep on going.
Yeah. Somebody was teaching me a few weeks back about, he called it compounding, the effects of compounding or something. Anyway, it's about compounding. So basically it's about compounding all your efforts, So all those sleepless nights, all of that effort and all of that energy will compound to where you need to be, as long as you're making quality decisions and you're taking the right steps. But at the same time, there's a negative effect to that. If I'm consistently making bad decisions, then there's gonna be a compounding, but not a positive one.
Yeah, I guess it's knowing and testing. You can test things out, you can follow your gut, you can take calculated risks, but if it's not working, if it's working, great, but if it's not working, just keep going, and if it's working, keep going. If it's not working, then you need to try something different then, don't you?
That's it exactly. Impossible only means that you just haven't found the right way.
Absolutely. So so you've got 2 jobs, you're very passionate, you're doing this 24-hour radio station. How do you stay focused, positive and productive yourself in sort of when doing all of that?
Well, actually, since the pandemic, I started working home all day, I discovered walking. I think a lot of us discovered walking, since the beginning of the pandemic. So we've got a wonderful park just down here where I live in Hertfordshire. And I enjoy like an hour's walk through, and it's a nature walk, and sit down by myself. It's an opportunity to clear the mind and think about all those things causing stress, and then just finding ways to continually be resilient. And because those problems, they don't really run away, they're still there. But it's just about finding ways to cope with them, finding ways to be more resilient, and clearing their head and then going back to that afterwards with a clear mind. So a lot of walking, a lot of just taking time out, and just sometimes just abandon everything totally, just leave it. Leave it for a few hours or a day or two, and then come back to it afterwards.
You talked about another book called Things Fall Apart.
Yes, I did. And it's so funny. The thing about Things Falling Apart is that Things Fall Apart was that it kind of it emphasizes about what we about toxic masculinity, if to put it in a that kind of a phrase. And so there's the protagonist in Things Fall Apart. His name was Okonkwo, and a lot of his behavior these days would be known as toxic masculinity. Now, and that particular behavior caused a lot of frustration among his family members. Now, fast forward to today, that kind of behavior, it's not tolerated, And but for Black men in particular, we need to understand, and people do understand these days, that yes, nowadays we don't necessarily have to continue with those kinds of attitudes. Okay, the belief is that yes, you don't need to. You can still be a man, you can still be powerful, you can still be dominant without exhibiting that kind of masculinity.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah. And again, it's part of the mental health conversation that is necessary, I think, for men.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think having those discussions about mental health, about masculinity per se, it might. So, one of my few failings is I'm not a man, so I can't see things from a man's perspective. I think it's important for men to talk about their health and in whatever way they can. So if they can talk about it through the radio or listening to the radio or through books or through a different and having a conversation about a book, that's a different thing, isn't it? And a positive thing.
Absolutely.
It's one of the reasons I like to have, so I have more women than I have men on the show, but I like to have some men as well to sort of have some balance as well and see things from a different perspective. Now, so you're on the show and you work with practitioners, but you want to work with different practitioners, sort of like, how would people, what's the sort of people that you'd like to sort of work with, get, do some collaborations or, find more about? Tell us about that, Charles.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so especially when we think of certain issues that are quite common within the community, certain chronic diseases, certain chronic illnesses, especially those kind of situations, it's important that we work with the experts, the practitioners who focus in these fields. And yes, we want to use them, to use their skill sets, to use their expertise to empower those of us who need that information to make detailed decisions, to make detailed and informed decisions about our health and well-being. So yes, so again, all of the members of the community, individuals, community groups, whatever you're involved in, as long as it's about supporting people's quality health, supporting people to promote health, and then we would like to work with you. And it's not just about it's not just about promoting health, actually. It's also about promoting the people themselves, promoting the practitioners, promoting their business. Promoting their business, promoting their professional and their personal profiles, showcase them.
Absolutely. I think you're part of my network. I'm all about networking and about showcasing people, what they do. It's always good to know what people in the community. There's so many skills in the community, isn't there, that can be showcased, and a lot of those skills are related to health and well-being, which is part of this podcast as well. It's sort of highlighting what business owners, leaders are doing in the community, showcasing them, and so other people can know about it. And so I think what I would like to is encourage people to get, if you particularly something about diabetes, I'm thinking about mental health, I'm thinking about the things that that involve people from the Africa diaspora. If there's anything that you can help with, Charles and Global Village Radio, please do contact him. So Charles,
prostate cancer. Sorry, I was just going to say that prostate cancer is a big one at the moment. Awareness about prostate cancer, again, awareness about mental health, awareness about diabetes, awareness about healthy eating. The list goes on and on and on.
It does, but everyone's got something to offer, haven't they?
Absolutely.
And there's different ways of offering it. So how would people contact you, Charles? What's the best way of getting hold of you? And give the wave band for Global Village Radio as well.
Yeah, good, thank you. So our email address, well, first of all, our website is www.globalvillageradio.com. Also, please be aware the village is with a J and not a G.
Yes.
Okay, so that's village with a J, not a G. Also, you can reach out to us at info@globalvillageradio.com. Again, village with a J and not a G. You can reach us out on 07915 697 589. And also, we've got our handles on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. And I have them. I think we'll
put all of those in the show notes, and you can contact Charles personally on LinkedIn.
There you go.
Yeah, so you go. And so, Charles, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing about your journey and about your media project and Global Village Radio. Is there something, as we come towards the end of the show, you'd like to sort of some inspiration or some nuggets, some wisdom that you'd like to share with the audience?
Yes, please. But before I say that, I just want to say congratulations, Dawn, on all on all that you're doing. Congratulations, you've been very busy, and we can see the fruit of your hard work.
Oh, thank you.
And I wish you all the best in your endeavors. Yeah, good. Thank you. So now I'll go to the question. Yes. One thing I said earlier on, I just repeated again, that we should all focus on our focus until our focus becomes our focus. You know, it's just, focus is such an empowerment, you know, these days. And when we realize it and we focus on those things that are really important to us, it's amazing. The fruits of focus, of being focused, are amazing. Yeah. So just like to encourage everyone, sometimes it's not easy. There's always barriers. There's always closed doors. There's always opposition. But just keep on focusing. Keep on finding ways, and hard work never fails.
Absolutely, I love that. Hard work never fails, and you are the proof of the pudding there, Charles.
It's still a long journey. It's still a long journey, but yeah.
Hard work never fails. That's so true. So with that, I'd like to thank Charles very much for being my guest today, my wonderful guest today. And I would like to, if you like what you hear on the Dawn Jarvis Show, and we are on podcast and we are on YouTube and shared all over social media. And that's it for the Dawn Jarvis Show. So like, share, subscribe. I'm going to put all the links in the show notes, and we'll see you soon. You take care. Bye-bye.